Amy Noble Messing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank
You are a holistic dating coach. This is very appropriate for the day.
Yes.
A lot of questions on everyone's mind, probably today, about their dating life, their singleness, their relationshipness. So let's just dive right in.
Yeah, the state of everything.
The state of everything, exactly. Okay, so my first question is, what is a holistic dating coach?
Yeah, that's a great question. So if you would have told me, like even 10 years ago, that this would be my life's purpose is to be a holistic dating coach, I would have laughed hysterically. Like it's the biggest plot twist of my life. And it all stemmed from leaving my marriage of 20 years. And we had been together for 26 years. I was in PR and marketing. I had no idea how hard it would be to leave. And there was no real reason for it. It was one of those things where it's like, I just felt like I didn't want to be okay anymore, just okay in my marriage. And so I left, and it was devastating and horrible. I had two like pissed off preteens, and I had just finished this like entrepreneurial thing with my then best friend. I was in this abyss, and I was in New York City in my 40s, single, going, what in the actual hell? Like, what do I do? And all I heard was like horror stories about the apps and you can't meet people in real life. So I have sort of a nerdy social anthropology brain, I think kind of like you do, where I'm just so curious about human behavior. And I decided that I was going to make dating my job in New York City. Like I had some time and I went for it. And I was dating 2, 3, 4 people a day on some days through the apps. Without realizing it, I was putting together this roadmap for Love Amy. And I never thought in a million years I would become a dating coach. But I realized that no one ever teaches us how to intentionally choose a partner, which is arguably the most important choice of your whole life. We are taught like all these other skills that just don't translate. So all of a sudden friends and friends of friends, like I met my new husband on Bumble.
Okay.
And my friends of friends were coming to me and they're like, you have a great attitude. Like I was dating up a storm. I was having such a good time. And I did make every mistake at the beginning. I looked at Brett, we were dating and I was on his couch. He's such a smart person and I was so nervous. I'm like, I think this is a thing. Like, I think I need to do this. And the reason I call it holistic is because, listen, can I help optimize your experience on the apps? Can I help, you figure out how you're being perceived? All of that, great. That's great. But I'm also an intuitive. So I bring in energy work, which I know you are a fan of as well. It's like the biggest predictor of dating success that I see is your energy.
Okay.
Right? It's like not your profile. It's not how tall you are. It's not how pretty or, you are. It's your energy. What are you bringing to the table when you walk in the room?
I think people are always really curious about, with positions like yours or matchmakers, what are some of the services that you offer? Because you speak about energy. So what does that look like? What are some of the first questions that you ask a client?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I am unique. I have one program and one program only. I take very few one-on-one clients.
Okay.
It's a 4-month intensive program.
Okay.
So people come to me all the time. They're like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm doing something wrong, or help me with my profile. And it's like everybody that I work with has some energy block they're not aware of, right? And so it starts with a long intake form. They fill it out. There's a lot of tears. There's a lot of emotion. We go through it. And then I rewrite their dating bio. I relaunch them. We start with Hinge. Then I add Bumble. But along the way, it's like they are discovering what is going on for them. Like what have they been in their own way about?
Got it.
Right. And
so very different from a matchmaker.
Yeah, not a matchmaker at all. I'm just leveraging like the tools we have until there's a better way. I mean, you talk a lot about the apps and all of that. And I do view them as a gift. It's just, we have to sort of get past a lot of the rhetoric, but until there's a better way, we have to at least start. Like, I love that Rumi quote, like, you begin walking in the path appears. It's like, I think a lot of people who are single, like, hold back until the right person crosses their path. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. You actually just have to get the energy moving, start going out on mini screener dates, which are just quick hour-long dates to see if you're aligned, and then move forward. So a lot of times I'm just helping people kind of get their energy unstuck.
Got it. So it's more that you're working with the person about themselves versus actually like the dating process.
Yes. And it's so funny because if I advertised that, no one would come to me.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. Yeah. So that's just like a positive outcome, but really you're just working with people.
Yeah. I mean, listen, can I help you? I'm really good at helping you read your apps, and I'm really good at the banter. I'm really good at communications coaching. But you can swipe all day long.
Sure.
If you are blocked, if you don't believe you're truly lovable, if you are still stuck on a past heartbreak that you think you healed from, then you're not going to get anywhere. So my goal is like, my clients are all these like little birdies in my nest. And so after 4 months, it's like my goal is to like push them out of the nest, and then they feel confident. They feel like, oh my God, I'm so worth like the biggest love I can imagine. And so that's kind of the goal.
Do your clients typically find people shortly after working with you, or is it kind of a mixed bag depending?
Yeah, it's so funny. I rarely talk about this because I get asked a lot, like, what's your success rate? It's wildly high.
Okay.
And what I will say is, like, right now, I have 3 clients currently who found their people during our 4-month. So that's rare.
Right.
That's rare.
Yeah.
But I love it when it happens, because then I can help them like build a really positive, healthy relationship. But I would say on average within 18 months of doing this type of work, it's like that person will come in, and they come in all kinds of ways. Once you're ready and you're like, I always say vibrating really, really high.
Sure.
It's all about being open.
Yeah.
And once you're really open, that's the magic. And I love hearing, like every other week I get another text like, guess what? Oh my gosh, I took a tennis lesson and met him. So
what do you think people are getting wrong about dating today?
I think that's a great question. I think that we are looking outside of ourselves a lot of the time. We're waiting to be happy because, we think that having a partner will fulfill that in us. And I think it's sort of overdone. Self-love, what does that really mean? And I think there is such a thing as app fatigue. And you talk about it a lot, right? It's like there is this rhetoric that it's hard right now. And I love that you did a solo pod recently where you were like, there are guidelines for 2025. And it was like, let's like not like bash this to death.
My opinion is it's a little bit of a just like overdone. It's really almost up there with talking about the weather or talking about how tired you are, because it's true. It's a state of fact. And I don't think commiserating about it or talking about it is that helpful. I don't know. Like, of course, you should vent to your friends once in a while. Of course, if you go on a bad date, and I say this on that episode, hash it out with your friend, call them, vent, whatever. But to just like constantly be that person just talking about how bad dating is quite frankly unattractive, and it's negative, and it puts you in a negative headspace. So even if you're not, actively dating, if you're just constantly going on and on about it, it's like really pulling you down.
It is, and you're going to get back what you put out.
Sure.
So even if you're swiping, I always say this to people, even if you pop open the app and you're like, God damn it, and you're like, oh, I can't believe they're showing me these. Don't do it. Put it down. You have to be in a positive place.
Right.
A genuinely positive place.
So on your website, you talk about helping to teach online banter. How do you go about doing this? I'm so interested because I'm wondering if I think banter is one of the most important things.
Yeah.
But can it be taught?
Oh, yeah, it definitely can be taught. And I think that's so interesting. So I used to do a lot of ghost bantering when I first started Love Amy. And
what does that mean?
Meaning like I would log in as my client and be them because I got to know them so well.
Wow. Okay.
But what I realized, it was a crutch because the number one thing people hate the most are taking pictures for the apps.
Okay.
And the number 2 thing is the banter. Like, I can't stand it. I don't know what to say. It doesn't feel like me. It feels creepy. So I would log in as them, and I'm really good at it. Like,
yeah.
I have a background in communication.
But then isn't the other person falling for you?
So I would hand it over at the moment it became really detailed.
Okay.
So I would just start it and like just be like friendly and warm and, validating. Mm-hmm. And the minute they were like, God, tell me more about that job, I'd be like, hey, Carol, over to you.
Time to log in, yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't serve anybody because they would get it was like a crutch. They're like, I can't do this without you. I'm like, all right, this is defeating the purpose. So now I'll sit with a client or share screen with them, and I have a whole doc. It's like taking a course. I send them Banter 101 so that they can learn. It's no different. I know this is weird, but it has to feel like the way that you feel texting with your best friend. And you're not going to vomit out too much information, but it's that warmth, it's that validation. Mm-hmm. And let someone match your energy. You'll see who matches you. Mm-hmm. I think, again, we're all withholding until we feel like we can really see someone's energy. It's like it's the opposite.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so single people constantly get in their own way. What are 1 or 2 common problems that you help people work through?
Yeah, yeah. So right now it's funny. I have like 2 clients. They're like your exact age in New York City, and they have a lot of anxiety around dating and they don't know why. They're just really, really closed off. They get nervous on dates. And so again, it goes back to like how do you start your morning? Like, what is your morning practice? So they're starting to meditate. They're starting to sort of become a little more embodied. They're realizing like, I need to date myself. And I know you've talked about this and it's so true. It's like, what does that actually mean? Like, I remember when I first started dating post-divorce, I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. Like I would go to bars and sit there by myself. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And then I started getting into like, I'm going to plan my perfect Saturday and then I'm going to do it all by myself. And then I'd find myself like I'm such a nerd and I'm dork. And I'd find myself like cracking jokes to myself and laughing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a good time. I'm actually a good time. So I think that's a big thing for people is like, you need to date yourself. You need to know that you are like such a good person to hang out with.
So that's a common thing that your clients deal with.
Yeah, that is a common thing. I think another common thing is sort of expectations from like society, expectations from family and friends that they're seeing everyone around them get engaged. They're seeing everyone have families.
How do you see that affect people negatively in dating?
I think it becomes a scarcity mindset.
Got it.
It becomes like, why not me? Oh my God. Like what about me? This is a personal assault kind of thing.
And how do you help clients get rid of that scarcity mindset?
Yeah, it's a lot of like talking through it. It's a lot of reframing. So it's like actually like in my eyes, like the universe is showing you it's possible. So it's just flipping the script. So in my intake form, I have all these pages about like really detailing like what are your limiting beliefs, and then we flip them. We have like positive affirmations every morning. I'm such a huge Do you meditate?
No, God, no. Oh, can't stand it. No, thanks. Not for me. I've tried it all. I just same with yoga. I wish I could for both of them, but is absolutely not for me.
Yeah.
In any way.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard that it's fantastic. People keep telling me, but I don't know. That's like the final frontier for me. I can't get into it.
You're not alone in that. I hear it all the time. I'm such a diehard. I've seen the transformation, and I recorded like little mini meditations on my own podcast, and it just to get people into it. But if you're not into it, that's fine. I think it's more just flipping the script, and even the positive affirmations. I don't even care if it's 30 seconds in the morning, hand over heart, just, start. And at first it feels weird. Like I'm lovable, I'm worthy, I'm whole, I'm perfect just the way I am. It's like, I think there's a huge amount of people out there that feel like they need to do something to become better.
Okay.
They need to add something to themselves to become more lovable. And the thing is, that's not true. Like your match is out there and they want you exactly as you are. So when I'm putting together helping someone put together their dating profile, what I see is people trying to be blanket. They're trying to be like lovable. So they water themselves down.
Okay.
And so my job is to make your profile so specific that it repels most people. So I have this example. I love this client so much. She came to me. She's an attorney. She's beautiful. She's like, everything is by the book. And I looked at her profile and it was like, it was perfect, right? And the more I got to know her, I realized how funny she is. Like, she's absolutely nerdy, hilarious. Like, I open up her drawer in her apartment and there's like all this candy comes piling. I'm like, what is going on? Her dad is her role model, and they run marathons together. She travels with a blender because she loves smoothies. Like, I redid her whole profile to show like who she really is.
Okay.
And she literally found her now husband, father of her child, like so quickly. And it was scary. It's scary for people because they look at me like, I'll choose pictures that they'll never choose. I'm like, no. The spark in your eye, and you're so goofy in this picture.
Oh, wow.
And so it's scary to be that. They feel naked. They feel like, but that's authentic.
Yeah.
That's authentic. Like, I used to get miscast all the time. It would crack me up. I would sit in front of someone and they're like, oh, you're a cheerleader in Connecticut.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I carry fake teeth in my purse. Like, Kristen Wiig is my spirit animal.
I'm dead.
And so I literally would be like, you want to see him? And I got super brave. But it is all about like being yourself and then skillful vulnerability. Like, you don't want to show up on a first date and be like, oh my God.
Right.
But you want to start to like peel the layers faster. And then it's not about being chosen. It's not. It's about being aligned. Like, are you aligned with this person? So you actually have to know what you stand for. Like, what are your core values? You know, and so I map it out for people. Like, okay, these are the 3 questions you're going to ask on every first date, because you stand for family, you stand for humor, you stand for gratitude. Like, those are, people take a quiz. And so we like game it out date by date, you know, and then because I'm an intuitive, like someone will like leave me a long voice note, like, oh my God, date was great. And then I'll call them and say, yeah, I'm not sure if he's actually ready.
Okay.
We need to ask him this question next time. So
there are certain questions that you set them up with, but they're different for every client.
They're different for every client. And then I have like I love your box theory. I have something that's sort of same but different, but it's the 4 pillars.
Okay.
So basically by the end of 4 dates, give or take, we have to know 4 things, and they're the 4 pillars. One is chemistry, and that can be reverse. Like, that is it's a huge misconception that like my clients will all say, I didn't feel a spark, can't go on a second date. I'm like, hold up. Like,
so you think by date 4, that's really helpful, because I think that's a common thing. Like, how many dates should you give someone?
Yeah.
By date 4, you feel chemistry. Okay, that's the first pillar.
You should feel something. Like, if it's a full body no, fine. But like if they'll say to me, like, I can't imagine kissing him, I'm like, fine, we'll move on.
Sure.
But like emotional chemistry, you know, that whole emotional connection can spark chemistry. So it's chemistry, core values. You have to know what yours are.
Yes.
And I have a quiz. If anyone wants to DM me on Instagram, I'll send you the quiz. You can take it. And then it's emotional maturity.
Is that being ready kind of thing?
A little different. So is someone emotionally mature? Can they talk about their feelings? Can they own their stuff?
So important.
And a good question to ask is like, so tell me about your last relationship. Why did it end? What do you want to do differently? I'm not saying that's first date question, but it certainly can be like a 3rd date question.
Because it how they answer, it's almost more like how they say it versus what they say.
Yeah, it's both.
It's both, and see how okay, that's a really interesting question.
It's a good one. Like, every step of my process is designed to filter people out, right?
I see.
Because we don't want to waste time. It's like, how many times have you heard someone say, like, just rant on about their ex, throw their ex under the bus? It's
truly.
Like, that person's not, everyone has a part in a breakup.
Sure.
So, okay, so that's number 3, emotional maturity. And number 4 is readiness, which I think your box theory, you know, kind of falls into that too. But someone can say they're ready on an app. They can, first, second date, they can give you all the right answers. But then the minute you ask them, like, let's time jump 5 years. Like, who are you with? What are you doing? They're like, I don't know. Maybe I'm in Europe. Maybe I'm back.
Right.
It's like, you know, they're not ready. And so there are questions. I have like loads of questions for my clients to like start to ask, you know, it doesn't have to be scary. By the way, if someone's sitting across from you and they look at you cross-eyed because you say like, what would your ex say your best quality would be and your not so great quality? Anyone who looks at you and says like, whoa, that's heavy, man. Like,
they're not ready.
Not your person.
Yeah, totally. No, that's true.
And you have to be ready. Like, I remember being like, okay with people rolling their eyes at me. I'm like, okay.
Right.
Not my person.
Right. Okay. That's so interesting. Wow. I want to go back to what you were saying about dating app profiles. So just to hone in, because I know people want to know, like, specifically, you know, you say tailor it to themselves. What are some things that people who are listening can do to make their profile more specific or kind of more authentic to who they really are, not who they like the most likable version of themselves?
Exactly. So they get like the most dopamine hits. So 6 pictures, obviously, you need. I love having a mix of like, you know, don't make the first picture you and your friends. Have your best friend take a picture on portrait mode on your iPhone outside with your eyes sparkling. Like, have a picture of you cracking up with your friends. That's fine. Have a travel picture. I also think the 3 like prompts that are really great, my simple pleasures, but don't be boring. Like, don't be.
Guys, I just had an idea. Should we have Amy look at my profile right now live? I wasn't going to plan to do this. But it's funny that you said that, because recently I decided to do this experiment where I was like, how do I show my hinge? I really got annoyed with something, and I made one of my prompts. Okay, view. Here we go. Okay.
Here we go.
There we go. Guys, she's doing it live. This is so
God.
vulnerable. I feel like my pictures are maybe designed for the dopamine hit a little bit.
Okay, wait. This is amazing. So
be brutally honest.
I am. I'm like your parents. I'm Midwest nice.
Okay.
Right? I'm Michigan nice, but I will always be brutally honest. before we go into this, what percentage of guys know who you are?
I don't know.
Okay.
I honestly have no idea.
Okay. So you don't get a ton saying like, oh my God, I know who you are.
Well,
you know?
one of my prompts is, what's your best celebrity impression? And I say Tinx, which is a bit up myself, but whatever. Okay. So I don't know. But also, yeah. Okay, go on.
Okay. Lead picture is super hot. It's like you're in some sort of like black number.
Don't tell you that's what I'm wearing. She says I'm hot, you guys.
I mean, it's super hot. I would not use this as your lead.
Okay, that's great. Do you think it has a place in the profile or not really?
I think it might, but certainly not your first picture. Like in your first picture, I want like shoulders up. Your eyes are gorgeous. I mean, my God, we need to like show you supernatural.
That's fair.
All I ask is that you are actually funny. Okay. I don't hate this prompt, but like, what does that mean to you?
Because no, guys are not funny.
I know.
And they say, oh, banter. And then I go and it's like, I'm like, are you like, I mean, what's going on here? Like, did you take an edible before you came to this date? Like, you're not even, and I need someone very quick. Like, I need someone they don't have to be like hilarious, but you need to be quick.
Okay, but let me ask you, what is the brand? What's the brand of humor that you die for?
Sarcastic, but not American sarcasm, actual sarcasm. Right. Half of the people who follow me are like, you're so mean. I'm like, that's just my humor.
Okay, but can we, like, is it Larry David? Like, what is the humor?
I can't. Anybody who puts Larry David on their profile, anything to do with The Office, anything to do with any of that, like.
Is there an example, though, that would get someone closer?
No.
British? More
Maybe
British?
Sarcasm.
So like, yes. All I ask is that you have British sarcasm, something like that.
Okay, that's smart. Wow, you're good. Okay.
I hope so.
I think you're going to hate my last prompt, but I was just doing an experiment.
Okay, that's fine. Oh boy. Okay. So the mesh dress, sorry.
Yeah, got to take that out.
Yeah, too see-through. Too see-through, Tinx.
But I like it. I like to be, they need to know I'm going to wear mesh dresses in our relationship too.
It's hot AF. I think that is a picture that like you let your person see after date 3.
Oh my God, I'm letting them see a lot more after date 3. I'm just kidding.
We'll talk about that next. Okay, love this one.
Yeah, that's very cute.
In the
that's
ivory, because it's cute, sexy.
Yeah, it's cute, sexy. Yeah, we love that one. Okay, cool.
Right. And I can read this prompt?
Read it out to them.
Dating me is like not outdoorsy at all. I hate small talk. Looking for curious and interesting. I travel for work. I don't find the office funny at all. No one who will be intimidated, please. I love to work in fun, looking for someone dope. Okay, so here's the thing. And you and I met a year ago on Valentine's Day for a drink. So I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit. Like, you are such high vibrational energy. You're so warm. You're so like old soul. This reads like somewhat negative.
Okay. That's good feedback.
Because it's like right away, it's like not outdoorsy, hate small talk, don't find, no one will be into.
It is really negative. Wow.
So it's negative.
Yeah.
So you might not even realize it, but that is like, that's what the energy is.
Yeah.
That you're putting out. I'm happy to redo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we can, whatever. But yeah. Okay. Love this one.
Okay.
In the car.
Cute and fun.
It's so cute. It's so sweet. Biggest celebrity impression. I'll give you that. Tinx. I think that's funny. This doesn't feel like you.
I know that was a couple hair colors ago.
This booby shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's very Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so we've got three out of 3 photos. Redo the prompts. Yeah, I think that's all really fair feedback. I think maybe as a defense mechanism, and maybe because I'm just a bit sick of it, I kind of like wanted to do that longer prompt because I was just like, I need to switch it up a bit,
Yeah.
And I wanted to like, I don't think it's that dissimilar from what you're saying, like be specific. I wanted to be specific because I think with me, I find a lot of the time I don't want to date like a random 34-year-old guy. It's not going to work for me. Some guy who's just like plodding along. It's not going to work energetically. So I think that it was such good feedback that my prompt turned out really negative, but we can make it in a positive way. But it's just like, you know what I also did an experiment recently. It's great that you're on right now so I can ask you all these things. I changed my age limit to 55. Guys, if you want a boost, okay, change it to 55. Oh my God, I'm getting like the craziest matches. I'm going to go out with a few of them because I'm just like, again, what am I going to do with a 34-year-old? It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. I need someone who's like, yeah, like,
I want to like share screen and choose a couple people for you to go out with.
Yeah.
Is there a hesitation? Like if I said to you, I think one of your prompts should be key to my heart, right? And like we'll put really specifics. And then at the end of that, it's like excited for my last first date or excited for the real thing, you know.
That's a bit cringe. I don't know if I can do that, Amy.
Okay.
I don't know.
And nope, I hear you. And there's lots of ways to, you know, phrase it. There's fear under there.
Yeah.
Right. And so my question is like, what is scary about not the actual words, but like putting it out there?
I think that I am so like happy by myself that I'm just, I think to me that might indicate, yeah, I mean, I guess you're right.
Want someone?
Yeah. I don't know, because it's like, I do want to be in love, but I'm not, I now more than ever, I'm so like, I don't care about the marriage and all that stuff, like at all. I want to be in love. I do. I really do. But I don't know. That's just a bit not me to say that.
Right. I hear you. I would just, like, if we were working together, we would explore that a little more.
Yeah.
And we would kind of unearth a little bit of that. And it's like, that's the energy that you're going to get back are people who are a little bit hesitant.
Totally.
So if you want to go to the next step and you're like, no, I really am ready, that's where I nudge you.
Yeah.
And then that's what you get back. And it's kind of amazing. So
yeah. And I've kind of felt that for a while. I've kind of been like, I know it's me. I think I'm a bit of a commitment phobe. I am. I have a little bit of reluctance because then it's like, well, if you find the person, then that's the end.
But it's just the beginning.
No, I know, it's so nice and you get to like be in love and stuff, and that is cool. But like, I think I always just feel like, oh, like I started that book. What was it called? That's that one that people do, Calling in the One.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, in this book, you're gonna figure out, you know, what's wrong with you. And after like 2 pages, I was like, oh, I'm not really completely ready. Duh.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. So wait, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being ready, where are you?
I think I'm ready but just the right thing, like, which is what I've always said. I'm not, I don't know. I just feel like if someone is spectacular and adds to my life, great. But if not, I don't know.
Like if my client went out with you,
yeah,
I would say to my client, like, steer clear. This person's
wow. Wow, that's brutal. But no, because if someone is amazing and we click and we're aligned, then great. I just don't, you know.
It's just tough because it's like you're doing it a little bit in reverse. You're hoping someone's going to kind of sneak in there.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah. I think that's right.
And it just makes it harder.
I don't like to like look. I don't like to, you know, it doesn't like align with who I am. I don't know. I guess in a way I'm sort of like more of a romantic. Like I don't want it to be, you said you made dating your job. Like I don't want that. Like,
no, I hear you.
You
I
know?
think I totally hear you. I do think that there has to be an equal like intention plus action.
100%. And I think for a while I was like putting myself out there and I was like, no, guys, it's a numbers game, which I completely believe. By the way, it is a numbers game. But now I'm just like, I don't know, my life is going so well. And I'm so happy right now that I'm like, it feels like looking to find someone to date doesn't match or something. Does that make sense?
I think so. Is it maybe that you're bumping up against your like happy ceiling and you're like worried that a person will like shift something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I can't imagine. I mean, again, if I imagine sometimes a person in my head and I'm like, oh, it would be so fun if they could come with me on this trip or they could be here to see this thing. But it's like that person doesn't exist. So I'm like, why would I, you know, invite mid energy into my like really good life?
Well, I will invite you if you want to I do a session with clients and it's super witchy where I actually intuit your person before you've met him.
Oh my God.
And we do it together. And I don't remember, I audio record it, you can have it. And there was this example recently where I don't remember saying it, but I guess I said, he's like Seth Rogen, he's his clone. Oh my God. And she ended up texting me a picture of him and he is
no
Seth
way.
Rogen's clone. Like, so crazy.
Oh my God.
But it's more like the feeling of it. Cause I think once you start feeling like, oh my God, this elevates my whole life. This is like, and it's great that you're happy. That's what we want.
Right.
You know, you're right there. You're right on the edge. When you're ready, just call me. I'll nudge you over the edge.
No, I am ready. I just like I just feel like it should just happen. But I know that maybe I need to do some work on that. All right, enough about me. Okay, so do you believe in one soulmate thing, or do you think multiple loves of your life?
Oh, multiple loves.
Okay.
For sure. And I think soulmates can be family. They can be best friends.
I agree with that.
Right. I've had fortunately, I had a client who met one of her soulmates. He passed away, came back to me a couple years later, found another soulmate.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So we have several. I don't think we necessarily meet them all in our lifetime, but they're floating around. So.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, I believe that. I think we all have tons of soulmates and multiple loves of your life.
Yeah. And I think there are no accidents. Like I'll be sitting on the subway and I look around, I'm like, I'm supposed to be here right now.
Yeah.
Every single person on this subway car. I just find it magical.
But so that's what I think is going to happen with me. One day I'll just be sitting at a party and it will be like that person right there. I'm just a bit, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think you're right there, Tinx. I think it's just a matter of like, it's almost like just a little adjustment.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also want men to work a little bit harder.
Oh, yeah.
I think that that's always a big part of my personality, where it's like, even with my Hinge profile, I'm like, no, you need to be man enough to like get through the negativity and like the tough exterior. Do you know what I mean? That's like how messed up I am.
I'm going to give you all the barriers.
Yeah, like I'm like, okay, because I do think that I need someone who has a lot of dominant energy because I'm so dominant. So it's like, if you can't even get past a few like off-putting Hinge profiles, we're never going to be together, because how are you going to deal with all my moodiness?
Oh my God, I love it. We talked about this when we were at having drinks a year ago. Is like, I do agree, like your guy will have a mix of masculine, like a really healthy masculine, but also he's
super femme.
He will have like the emotional maturity. Like he'll get like teary sometimes, you know?
Of course. And also like I would love him to have a super masculine personality but have like a feminine look almost. Like I think that's kind of hot sometimes.
That is hot.
Do you find it harder to work with men or women?
Well, by nature I work with like 95% women, but I love it when guys
and that pisses me off just in itself statistically.
Well,
what the hell is going? It pisses me off when I see on Hinge, oh, I'm 45 figuring out my dating goals.
Oh, I know.
Get fucked. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's an insane thing to put.
But I do think it's societal. I think, men are just like, it's okay for men to go to therapy. Now it's okay. So I think it's just an indication where we are. But when men come to me, I love them. Can you imagine the guy that actually engages with me? They're like, I want to optimize like everything in my life. I know I can do better. Like, and my male clients are the best because they just do what I tell them. Like women are just like
nice.
Overthinking everything. Are you sure?
I'll be like, I'm not changing my Hinge profile. And the guy's like, just here, you do it.
Just tell me what to do. Awesome. It's so great. Yeah. Love them.
What's the most toxic trait you find in women that approach this process?
Toxic trait. I think it's negative self-talk.
Okay.
Yeah. I work a lot with clients on that. And I know you've talked a lot about that too, is a lot of times it's just unconscious. We're walking around beating ourselves up. So like I have my clients track their inner voice.
Thoughts, yeah.
Like for like a couple of straight days and write down in your phone like every negative thought. It's
scary.
It's scary.
I know. And when you shut that valve, it's like the second half of your life begins.
Oh my God. Like, do you feel like you had to go through that?
For sure. I used to be so mean to myself. It actually makes me want to cry. Like it actually makes me want to cry, the things I used to say to myself. And like how harsh I was about every aspect of my life, my body, for sure. I know a lot of women, that's our number one thing for where I was, just like thinking about how cruel I was to myself because I didn't feel like I was where I need to be. And even now, sometimes it creeps in where I'm like, you need to work harder. You're not far enough, and it's just like, it's just so unhelpful. It's so unhelpful.
How did you get past it?
I just realized that I got a lot further and I was a lot happier when I was nicer to myself.
Yeah.
And I really believe thoughts become things.
Yes.
And if you say to yourself, I'm ugly, I'm this and that, like you will literally admit that. Like and also realizing for me, no one is going to do it for me. Yeah. No, it's not something that you can bestow upon someone. There's no magic pill that you can take and stop doing it. No one is going to do it for you apart from yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And until you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, you're doing a great job. Like really mean it and not be like, oh, this is cheesy, but be like.
It feels weird at first.
It's so weird. And now all the time, I said it to myself yesterday. I was like, oh, I literally said to myself, I'm so proud of you. I can't believe it. Like we're really doing it.
Makes me teary.
No, me too. I was really like, I told myself because I found out something good was happening with work and I was just like, I'm so proud of you. You're really doing it. And it's just like you want to go back and give yourself grace for all those times. And
yeah, I could not agree with you more. I interviewed Shauna Shapiro. She's the author of Good Morning, I Love You, which if anyone's listening and you want more self-compassion, read this book.
Okay.
And she taught me a practice I do every morning, and it's so simple. It's like hand over heart. And it's so weird at first. So I say, "Good morning, Amy. I love you."
I love that.
And it feels weird to say your own name.
No, it's nice.
But it's so nice. And like I have chills. Oof. And it's like, even especially on the hard mornings, you say it and it's like I just start to cry. But like, we're never taught how to do this. We're taught to beat ourselves up, to be tougher.
Especially women.
Yeah. And because we're achievement based, it's like every one of my female clients like checks the box on my intake of like, they're a perfectionist.
Totally.
To a fault.
A lot of
people,
a lot of our listeners, like so many of our listeners are like so hard on themselves. So many people in this community are just like so tough on themselves with every aspect, but they're also high achievers.
Yep.
Most people in the community work really hard, are amazing friends, are always like always the girl who's like, oh, I can do the extra thing. Oh, I can stay late. I can pick up the extra slack. And it's like those people who are meanest to themselves.
Oh my gosh. And we don't realize that is so harmful.
So harmful. And it shows up in dating.
It shows up in dating.
Because then you go to the date and you're like, I just need to be like saved or chosen or whatever, or like I'm not that great. So it's like if he picks me, he's good enough because I'm, called myself ugly 12 times this week.
And then we settle.
Yeah.
And I always say this, we do not settle. We are not going to settle. And so the way you start is just starting to be kinder to yourself. And this is so funny. I figured out a little like trick for myself whenever I have a negative thought. And now there are a lot fewer. But it's so, Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada, you know how she says like, that's all.
Yeah.
Like she literally, her little head pops up in my brain. So when I have a negative thought, I see her go, that's all.
Yeah.
And then I start to laugh. I'm like, all right.
It's good to have those tricks. I always say Control, Delete. I just say that to myself, or I say that to the girls and the gays listening. I say Control, Alt, Delete. Like you just have to replace it with a new neural pathway.
Yeah.
You just have to start bit by bit. It's really hard. But again, thoughts become things. Another mantra I love is the words you speak become the house you live in. So if you're constantly speaking negatively, you're going to live in a negative shroud of a thought, negative cloud. And it's just like, it's really bad. You have to teach yourself to love yourself, because at the end of the day, we go out the same way we came in, alone. That's the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself.
I totally agree.
So
love that.
Yeah. Sorry to make it about me again. I think you said settle. I think actually the biggest fear in my life is settling. The biggest fear. I have more fear of settling or being stuck in an unhappy relationship than I do being alone.
And where does that come from?
My parents.
Okay.
Or not to put them on blast, but the relationships that you see growing up in or whatever.
So that's it. Like that's it. That's your energy block, whether you realize it or not. And so that you've got one foot going forward and then you have one foot stuck in the fear. And that's when you land in this gray area.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. What's the point of having a podcast if you can't get some free therapy, guys? Okay, this is an interesting question. How important do you think it is to have the same religious and political values as your significant other? I think 10 out of 10 importance.
Okay, that's
or
interesting.
Pretty important.
Yeah.
Well, your alignment pillar is so important. I think a lot of people just skip over that. They go, oh, this guy likes me. I need to get married this year because I'm turning 35, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, he loves to save money. You love to spend money. You're always going to be bashing your head against that. So what do you think?
It depends how, like, some people are more spiritual than religious. It depends.
Right.
Like, if it's on my intake, if like, just think about this. If you are diehard, like, Jewish, let's say, like, I have clients who come to me and they're like, I will filter for Jewish guys and that's it. Then obviously, right, like, stick to that. Political is tricky.
Yeah.
I see people pass other people by all the time because it's like, it says moderate and, maybe you're more aligned than you think.
Right.
So it's really, really tough. I think we have to be a little bit forgiving, but you just have to know yourself. And if you can make whatever you want a deal breaker.
Totally.
And don't feel bad about that.
What date number should you be asking these questions? Like first, third, like these deal breaker questions?
I think the first few. I think, like, depending, because a lot of times you can go really deep on a first date.
Yeah.
So I like third date, fourth date.
What about kids? When should you bring up the question of if you want kids or not?
Like right away.
Right away.
Right away. People hide that. I'm like, why are you hiding that? Put it on your profile and talk about it. Wait, hold on. What was that? You're like,
no, yeah. I just like,
because you're not sure.
I'm not sure. If I meet someone amazing, I'll have a kid with them. But that's how I am with everything. If I meet someone amazing, I'll be with them.
Okay.
If I meet someone amazing, I'll have a kid with them. I'm definitely not one of those people who's like, I want to be a mommy no matter what. Like, I'll have a baby alone. No.
And that's great. You know that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I honestly would love to be a dad. I would love to get applauded for doing the bare minimum.
I think we should put that on your profile, dad energy.
I have dad energy. I'll have the kid and then you can take care of it and I'll go off. And when I come home and I hold the baby for 3 minutes, everyone will be like, you're so amazing.
I have to go work now. Sorry.
Oh my God. Are there any topics that should absolutely not get brought up on a first date?
Yes. Do not, please, for the love of God, like don't vomit out your whole breakup story.
Yeah,
No one wants to hear
I
it.
feel like X talk should be second and third, not first.
I think you can say like, oh my gosh, because it's a good thing to ask.
Yeah.
You want to know. But, someone would ask about my divorce. I'd be like, you know what? We were great at 25, not so much at 45. That's probably for another date, but we're amicable.
That's a really good way to put it.
So
find a
have
nice
it down in
way
one
to
line.
sum it up. Okay.
Sum it up in one line.
Okay. Any other topics you shouldn't talk about?
Again, I would just say as a guideline, like don't be overly negative. Don't go
Yeah.
down a road of like what you don't want. It's like
Totally.
just keep it really, really positive and just sneak in something authentic about yourself. Like just sneak it in, like something your best
Yeah.
friend knows about you and teases you
Okay.
about. Like again, in order to combat the way that I used to be like pigeonholed, I would either say the fake teeth thing or I'd be like, ugh, I have no GPS skills. Thanks for meeting me at my local, coffee shop. But again, just, do not be perfect. Try not to be perfect. That's
Try not to be
the
perfect.
enemy of authenticity.
Yeah, it's so true. I think a lot of women especially feel like it's an interview and they want to be perfect. And it's like, and then they take it so personally if they don't get a call, they don't even like the guy. And then they're like, oh my God, it was something I did. And it's like, no, just, you have to be your, it's.
Totally. Like ghosting is not your problem. Like that's somebody else's deal.
Okay, can you rank online dating apps in order of effectiveness in your honest opinion?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, I'm a data girl. I have years of data now.
Okay.
So it's Hinge and Bumble.
Okay.
Right? Bumble has twice the volume of Hinge.
Of people?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
It does. Yep. It's Tinder and then Bumble.
Okay.
So I actually think Tinder's great, but I get why it has a bad rap because it started as a
No,
hookup.
I've actually kind of heard of people going back to it now for not just sex and whatever.
And that has the most volume. So, but it's just messy. It's like there's a lot of a lot. But yeah, I start people on Hinge because it's a little slower and then add in Bumble. Mm-hmm. But it's just.
I just downloaded Field because I wanted to see what was on it. It's kind of, I don't want to say negative, but it's a little bit scary.
It's a lot of a lot, but I have to tell you, I have a couple clients who have had really good success.
Because I thought, I was like, I don't know, I love to do stuff for experiments to tell the gang about. And I was just like, yeah, let me check it out. Let me see what it's about. Because I thought maybe it would be interesting because people on there are way more specific.
Yeah.
They are not afraid to go deep in the bio. They're like, I like this, and that exactly. I'm looking for this. Like, and it's kind of nice in a way, to your point.
Yeah.
I feel like on Hinge, everybody's like, I like dogs and ice cream.
Yoga and meditating.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, so does everyone. Like, whatever. On Field, people are like, I like when, shoes look like this on a girl and also that her ponytail is slightly below her neck. Like, that really turns me on. And I'm like, wow, I love the specificity.
It's also authentic.
It's very authentic. It's just a bit like the energy is a bit aggressive.
It's jarring just if you're not used to it because it's so out there.
I'm going to keep it. I haven't gotten any dates from it yet, but I'm going to check it out. But how do you encourage people to go on that second date even if they don't feel an immediate connection? And talk a little bit about that. I feel like people get so in their heads if they're really trying to find someone and they go on a date and they're kind of like, about it. When should you go push yourself to go for the second date versus not?
I'm so glad you brought it up because it's such a huge issue. I think we're like culturally sort of bred to think that there is this massive spark and that we're just going to know in 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, like, if you have crazy butterflies all the time with someone, your nervous system's probably dysregulated.
Totally.
And so what I see, especially when you're working with the apps, like, reverse chemistry is a thing because people are nervous. They are wearing all these masks on early dates. It's like, and then all of a sudden, I remember being on a date with Brett, actually my husband, and like we met at Joe and the Juice as our first date, and it was kind of like, like it just was like, he was being really serious, and I'm kind of a goofball, and I remember on our second date, which is the real date, we're out to dinner at Scala Nutella on the Upper East Side, and we just clicked over humor. I was like, oh my God, he has like the driest, like it was so great. And so you have to give it time.
Okay.
You have to give it time. I would say like give it like 3 dates, but like try to see if you have alignments. It's not about, again, not being chosen. It's just like, see if you can like crack up over something. See if you can. And then after like 3 dates,
you have to feel something.
You have to feel something. Yes. You have to start looking at them differently. Like, I never thought I'd be attracted to a bald guy, and all of a sudden he's so funny and you're looking at him sideways,
Yeah, I think that's good advice. I think it's like you have to have some connection, but also give it time. Because we do live in just such a, instant validation world. We're just so used to everything right then. And it does take time sometimes.
And you can't really know someone. You can't trust yourself to know them. It's kind of silly.
Yeah. It's interesting you said that your first date with your now husband was at a coffee shop. People often ask me, is the first coffee date okay, or does that feel like low effort on the guy's part? What's your take on that?
So I learned the hard way when I was sort of like turbo dating my way through New York. I got so frustrated when I would give away 5 hours.
Totally.
So my mini screener date's a really big guideline that I have. I think it's just fine. It's just you're testing the water. You're just seeing if it's worth like a real date.
Totally.
And yes, but I am a diehard like chivalry courting in a heterosexual, like I really believe, like don't double message the guy.
Right.
Don't say, oh, you mentioned we would get together. What do you?
Oh my God, no.
Don't do that.
It's
like,
crazy.
Like I coach so much on like sit on your hands.
Yeah.
They're not your person. You deserve to be courted, and you deserve, and sorry, that's just, it's not a popular opinion, but I really believe in that.
And if a guy likes you, he'll do it. He'll get there.
If he is.
And if he's ready.
If he's ready, and if he is just unafraid of the real thing.
What about sex? I'm so curious your take. I mean,
Love
my
it.
box theory. Yeah. I think in box theory, like sex shouldn't be used as a tool to manipulate. You should do it when you feel comfortable and ready. Do you agree now that I've teed up that question for you to agree with me?
I love it. So I have a question on my intakes that says, do you require an emotional attachment to someone before a physical one?
Yeah.
And like 95% of everyone says yes. So if you really feel like I don't want to have sex until I feel a little bit of an emotional connection because I know I'm going to get attached, then guess what? Don't have sex right away.
Yep. Do it on your terms.
Do it on your terms. So I don't like rules, but like I want to burn that book. But I do think like if you're having sex before the 3rd date, you're just risking. You're risking like the hookup box.
Yeah, unless you're just doing it to bang.
Exactly, which is great.
Yeah.
If that's your intention. I mean, I have people come to me all the time. They're like, I'm not quite ready. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, this was so helpful. I feel like everybody's gonna take a real hard look at their dating app profile, including me.
No,
I feel like we really had an unlock with me today. It's my energy.
I'm really excited for you. And
I know, but now I need to like do the work.
Well, I'm right here. I'm gonna stay on.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I think that this was a really inspiring chat for Valentine's Day. Actually, I have one more question for you. What would you say to people out there who are feeling a bit hopeless right now, who have been single for a while, who are really, really wanting to find someone, who are just having a bit of a bad time with it? Do you have any words of encouragement?
Yeah, I do. I am in the fortunate position of seeing love stories all the time. It is never too late. You are enough. You were born lovable. You can literally shift your energy anytime. Like start with good morning, like good morning, I love you. Like start, and you can create the future you want. I mean, I see it every day. I
agree. I love that so much. Thank you for coming on. Where can people find you? And if they do want to work with you, how can they do so?
Yeah. Everything is on my website. So it's loveamy.co. And then on Instagram, love.amy.nyc. And again, if anyone wants to DM me, I'll send you the core values quiz.
That's so nice. I really like aside from the dating app which I'm going to redo mine. I think that was really good advice. I think the 4 pillars is such a useful tool for people.
Yeah.
I think that is such a good practical takeaway. So thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for coming on, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.